Hey everybody, my name's Steve. I am a champ designer on 2XKO, and I'm with...
Hey, I'm Alex Jaffe. I'm the lead champion designer on 2XKO.
Vi is a champion that we knew we had to have in this game. We were super excited to get her ready for y'all to play.
A lot of people have been asking for Vi, like a few people at least. Is that right?
It's come up. It's come up. So for me, when I was stack ranking my options, I had Vi at the very top of the list, underline, bold. I just really wanted to work on this champ. My first competitive fighting games going up against somebody one-on-one was actually the Fight Night franchise, and that taught me a ton about like offense, defense, applying pressure, mind games.
You're basically saying like your whole life is culminating in this moment.
Pretty much, yeah, that's it. I've self-actualized. I want to start with like the heart of Vi's gameplay, which is her footwork suite. This is a type of move that you'll see on other boxers where she'll take an explosive step forward, she kind of ducks in towards the opponent, and you can use footwork in or out. So you can sort of chain them together to like bob and weave with your opponent. And footwork has a couple different options you can do out of it. You have a hook, an upper, and then this overhead punch that we call a knuckle down. You can chain these together as well. They work just like our other normals. Just really think of it as the normals you do. Part of what makes this stance so fun for Vi, this sort of like explosive forward step, is that you can take any of these punches and you can charge them. So that's where we get some of that power. You're ramping up the punch, you're getting ready to let them have it. And when you charge these punches up, just like the regular ones, you can chain them into each other. You can go all the way up the tree. So light, medium, heavy, and you get this nice ground bounce on the opponent. But if you charge these punches, not only do you get bigger damage, better hit reactions, like higher launches, all that good stuff, you also get the ability to cancel back into footwork, or really to cancel into any of her S1 specials. So this is sort of like at the heart of Vi's pressure. So Alex, if you want to just crouch block real quick. So if he's just going to sit there, I can keep wailing on him. I can cancel this. Yeah. So I'm sort of putting him in a situation where I'm forcing him to contest. Now Alex might contest. Hold on. I was slow there. Okay. Yeah, so you can kind of set up your own whiff punishes with this, which I think is kind of cool. But there's other things you can do in footwork as well. It's not just like a pure, I'm going to punch you in this mode. I already talked about the weaving you can do back and forth. You can also, if you do a footwork forward and then you do it again, you can slide through the opponent, and this gives you opportunities to really set up some nasty situations. You can quickly hop to the other side and attack, or you can use your partner to create a mix-up opportunity. And you can also go for One Girl Wrecking Crew, which is Vi's grab out of footwork. This is kind of a unique grab for our game. It's actually techable, so it's a techable command grab. But once again, you might already be thinking this to yourself. This is another opportunity for mind games with your opponent. So footwork is actually projectile invincible at a certain point. So if I'm too slow, if you throw a time winder, so I tried to footwork there, I got hit. But if I time it up nicely, yeah, I technically dropped that. But yeah, just the idea that you can just step right through these projectiles, and it really makes your opponent second guess when they want to use their zoning tools.
The game moves fast. There's a lot of space, a lot of real estate being taken up by hitboxes, right?
Yep.
You have to have some way to deal with it. And I think Vi just having this really aggressive projectile invuln move that kind of makes you think twice before you start filling the screen with garbage is just perfect for her.
We knew that we wanted to capture sort of Vi's like backstory where, you know, she's from the streets of Zaun and she often like sticks up for her friends as kind of the protector. We have like Vi in the MOBA is more of like a slugger. Like you're building up a lot of power for big hits. You release that and just like bludgeon your opponent. You do a bunch of burst damage. But we want Vi to be a champion that a lot of players can pick up and play. So we ended up sort of doing this like staggered pacing on her kit where there's a lot to sort of jump in and have fun with right away. And if you want to engage with some of the more technical stuff, you're going to build those skills.
I remember being so excited, like the first time I really understood what the Vipod was putting together in terms of kind of mixing these fantasies of like, okay, like it's this sort of grounded, technical, intentional boxer with this like high-powered, explosive hex tech energy.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on to Vault Breaker, which is one of Vi's iconic moves. It's Vi's way to pretty much close the distance. And unlike her other punches, where you have an uncharged and a charged version, Vault Breaker actually has 3 phases. You can tap it for a quick punch that covers a lot of the screen. You can charge it to level 2 to go further and deal more damage. And you can actually charge it all the way up to level 3, where it'll tumble the opponent. They'll go smashed up against the wall if you're close enough.
Vi's the projectile.
Yeah, Vi's the projectile. That's such a big part of our identity for Vi is these charged punches. But we also wanted to make sure there was something for like both ends of like the execution spectrum. Like we have this one sort of like demanding, like, hey, charge it, but just enough side of the spectrum.
But that's partially because that's also how we see Vi. Like in these early conversations we had about who Vi is, you know, we want to be really, really authentic to the character as she's expressed in multiple forms. We're like, is she all about like that one unbelievably big charge punch? Like, yes, for sure. Or is she about like tons of rapid fire punches? I think we really realized that like we did not have to limit it. We didn't have to restrict it. She is both these things. There's room for both on the kit.
But we've already shown off a lot of things on the kit. I also want to highlight some of Vi's throws, just because I think they're neat. Her forward throw, she sort of shoves the opponent backwards, punches the ground. We have a lot of Vi sort of like smashing the earth, and then there's like, you know, collateral.
That's what the gauntlets are for.
Yeah, they're for breaking the earth. And then on her back throw, we're kind of leaning more into the boxer stuff, where on her back throw, she'll slip behind the opponent, do like 2 shots to the body, and then a shot to the head to knock him away. So denting blows on her S2 it's a flurry punch, really. We let you mash this button as well. So if I'll do like a short little combo, then I'm gonna mash S2, pop, 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 pop. We get the little cinematic moment, more punches, more damage.
You do have to say pop, 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 pop for it to work.
It straight up doesn't work.
Yeah.
There's microphones on everything. Other things I want to cover just on some of the other S1 specials and kind of leading into more of like the boxer archetype for Vi was that her Crouch S1, which is her blast shield. This attack is different from our parry. Counters both high and low attacks, so it can be a good defensive option for Vi. You don't have to pay any bar for it, which is a huge plus. So Alex, if you neutral jump and then go for H. Yeah, so you'll sort of get this electric shock, then you'll punch the opponent, and you have an opportunity to follow up. Just like a move that I consider like really foundational for boxers. We wanted Vi to feel very, very strong on the ground. And while she's in some ways weaker than other characters in the air, we still wanted to make her have a host of options that she can use that are maybe like a little bit more unconventional in the air to aid her approach and give you something else to do than just strictly playing grounded all the time. So some examples of that for Vi would be her air down heavy and her air S2. Like other characters in a game, our air down heavy is our cross-up attack. But for Vi, it's this really committed sort of like burst of exhaust and Hextech energy out of the gauntlets.
Right.
In a way, but you can use it to cross up the opponent, and if it hits them, they'll get electrified, so you can actually follow that up. The other move I mentioned is her Air S2, which is her Crater Maker from the air. Her Crouch S2 on the ground is regular Crater Maker. This is more of like an OTG or like an anti-air attack.
A very, very high-hitting, brutal anti-air.
Yeah. This hits really high up. You can't see it here. Like it's hard to express how high up this hits.
Let's see. Let's see. Oh,
bad
my
hits.
Lord.
That wasn't even the end of it. Anyway, so Crater Maker hits really high, but we also have an airborne version of Crater Maker where Vi will pop forward a tiny bit before using the move. This lets her do things like maybe if I neutral jump, I can press Air S2, quickly get on the other side to go for a cross-up attack. It's really punishable if it's blocked. So we've covered a bunch of specials on Vi's kit. Let's talk a little bit about supers. So for Vi's S1 super, we have Relentless Force. So she'll charge up this massive punch, fly across the screen, hit him, and then it blasts Hextech energy out of the gauntlet to send him away. After the super flash, so starting now, this move is invincible, and it has like a very wide window of invincibility. So Vi can plow through a ton of different attacks. But it's also really good at sniping assists, which could be like a real part of your game plan, whittling down the assist's HP. So if you call Echo Assist, I can use my Relentless Force. I'll hit Echo, and I'll actually shoot the shockwave behind him, and it's pretty quick. But yeah, so let's move to her S2 super, which is a Hyper Crater Maker. So that's her S2 super. She just like blasts her fist into the ground a handful of times, sends a big shockwaves, hits in a big cone. But this is another one of her moves that is mashable. So if I mash this, I get more damage, more hits, pretty much what you want.
That's our first mashable super.
First mashable super, bam. Expect more. And finally, those are the two supers. Let's move to Vi's ultimate, which is Cease and Desist. So if you've been at home wondering, where's the uppercuts? Here's the uppercut, it's coming. Where she pretty much uppercuts the opponent in the air, leads to a beatdown sequence, and we get this big, juicy charge punch at the end. Sends them flying. It also corners your opponent. Vi wants them to be in a bad situation in the corner, so you spend your 3 bars, you get a bunch of damage, and you get a really nice post-ult situation.
No matter where Vi is.
No matter where Vi is.
that.
You always got to keep it in your mind when she has 3 bars. The idea, sort of even like early on in development for design, and I was talking with Kyohei, who designed Jinx, was that we wanted there to be like some parallelisms or just like harsh contrasts, but the two pair together really nicely. So I can keep you at bay with projectiles, and if things start getting uncomfortable, I can call in Vi to do her rush punch assist. Vi is sort of the same way, but on the flip side, where having Jinx or another long range assist lets you sort of stalk your opponent, get closer, close the distance, and really just get into your ideal striking range where you can apply some close range pressure. Probably like one of the most common ways you're going to be using Vi and her teammate together are to set up these nasty footwork combinations. Where I'll like quickly use footwork into slide to get on the other side of the opponent, and then I'll call in an assist to hit you from the other side and take you down from that side. So there's just lots of things you can do using Vi's inherent mobility, and also like playing with her range. You might want to consider that too when you're like building your team compositions. But she also has the Crater Maker assist, where she'll hop in, punch the ground, and this attack hits off the ground actually. So if you're playing a character like Jinx, who can take advantage of the situations, you can do something like this and hit him off the ground and take it from there. So these supers, like I mentioned, they cover the horizontal and the vertical spaces well, but that also works nicely with Double Down, especially with Jinx and her suite of supers. So I'll just show you right now. So if I combo into Relentless Force, we get that big punch, blast the opponent away, and then we can switch over to Jinx, and she'll shoot her Zapper. So that combos really nicely from like everything stays on that horizontal plane. You can catch them with both supers.
Love how that looks.
That does a ton of damage too. But yeah, those are just ranges, like sections of the screen that Vi can cover really efficiently with Double Down. You can do some other tricks with it too, but we'll leave that to y'all to figure out the best ways to use the properties of these moves. Thanks for tuning in. We're so glad we got to show you a little bit of Vi's gameplay and talk about the design process that went into building this champion. If you want to play Vi, you can sign up for our closed beta where she will be playable. She's a ton of fun. We hope you check her out. And yeah, that's going to be it from us. I was Steve. This was Alex, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye, everyone.